Hello guys and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. The budget is being presented as we speak. It has started to be presented since 11 a.m. So here we are dissecting each and everything that the Honorable Finance Minister is presenting in front of us. Over the last few days, what we did is we understood what could be expected from this budget. So a lot of expectations were there, of course, especially that of the middle class. Why of the middle class? Because middle class is the sector, or let's say, the portion of the citizens of India who have a huge burden of taxes. In fact, they are the people who are paying the taxes very efficiently, maybe either by choice or without that. Anyway, they are paying it. So what was expected is a reduction in taxes. So in the later stage of this session, we will see whether that is incoming or not. Apart from that, we had some expectation in the MSME sector. Now, MSME sector is also important, especially with respect to the credit requirement of MSME. So we will see whether that is also addressed or not. Apart from that, a completely new income tax structure was what the middle class was expecting. So we'll see whether that has come yet or not. So let's get started with respect to the budget 2025-26. So the very first thing the budget talks about is the 6 core areas where it will focus. The number one core area that it talks about is your taxation. So yes, there can be some relief for the middle class in taxation, but we are still not sure what amount of relief, because till now the budget speech has not presented anything about it. What has been rather told to us that a completely new taxation will come into effect and it will be presented 1 week from today. So for this particular thing, we still have to wait and watch. The second sector that is talked about is the urban development. So urban development, what the government plans to do in urban development, we'll see that as well. The third sector that we have in front of us is mining. So as you can see that the sectors that are being focused are majorly from the primary and the secondary sector. And as we have seen in our economy sessions also, that our service sector is developed, right? But our industrial sector is still underdeveloped. That is one thing. At the same time, agriculture is not modernized for various reasons whatsoever. So there are focus on agriculture, there is focus on the industry sector, there is focus majorly on the primary and the secondary sector. Mining is one such domain. Then the fourth thing that we talk about is the financial sector. Fourth one is the financial sector. Now, of course, this comes under the service sector part, but when we talk about the budget, talking about financial sector, it is with respect to the provision of credits to various other sectors, provision of credits to startups, provision of credits to the MSMEs, right? Then you have power. Power is such a sector which is dealing with sickness since a long time. It's been 10 years that I'm teaching, and when I was a student studying in 2015, I was still studying about the sickness of the power sector. Now in power sector, the sickness is not generally with respect to the capacity to produce the electricity, but it is with respect to the distribution of that power that is produced because of fluctuation, because of remoteness, hilly terrain, so on and so forth. There is an issue with respect to the DISCOMs. That is the distribution company when it comes to power. So previously also in 2016, the government has come up with Uday scheme, Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. Now also the government is saying that it will focus on the private sector. Now once these sectors are all done, the final but probably the most important part that will be there is your reforms. So the government is promising to come up with a lot of reforms. Now, generally when reforms come, it can go both the ways. Reforms need not necessarily, for example, they say rationalizing the subsidy. What do you mean by rationalizing the subsidy? It is rather an inclination towards reducing it. So will the government be reforming those things? When you talk about reforms in the tax laws, so generally that is done with respect to easing the payment of taxes, making it easy for you to pay taxes, incentivizing you to pay taxes, so on and so forth. So reforms in taxation, reforms in ease of doing business. Okay, reforms in ease of doing business means ease of starting business as well as closing business. Now in India, we have increased the ease of doing business specifically with respect to starting the businesses, but still India lags in closing of the businesses. Closing of the businesses is still quite difficult in India. So that is what we might expect. This reforms that will come at a later stage. It is not yet detailed in the finance minister's budget speech so far. So let's see what the first sector, that is the primary sector or agriculture, has come up with in this budget speech. So first thing, we know that we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. So when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, we talk about self-sufficiency of Bharat. So the government is trying to come up with Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbharta is a Hindi word whose English translation means self-sufficiency. You need not depend on someone else. You become independent, self-dependent. So this Atmanirbharta is being talked about with respect to what? With respect to pulses. So the government is saying that we will become Atmanirbhar with respect to pulses. That is what we will be doing, with a special focus on 3 pulses, that is Tur, Urad and Masoor. So with special focus on Tur, Urad and Masoor. Now these things are important especially for your prelims paper, because a direct statement can come that India plans to become Atmanirbhar with respect to pulses, with special focus on, if it is Tur, Urad, Masoor, they can give you something else. So you should know these 3 terms, rest all pulses are not that important for that matter. So we want to become self-sufficient. Now what is the reason to become self-sufficient here? Because protein requirement is not met. This is one source of protein. We are not able to grow, so we have to import. When we import, we have to give away foreign exchange for that. That is one thing. Secondly, when you are importing, the cost also increases. So that is again a problem. That is why we are focusing on becoming self-sufficient or Atmanirbhar when it comes to the pulses. Okay. Now the next thing is the PM Dhan Dhyan Krishi Yojana. The PM Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhyan Krishi Yojana. Generally the words of the schemes are in Hindi and it quite becomes difficult to understand what it is. So when you talk about Dhan, Dhan means money. Dhan means money. Dhyan means to giving importance to them or paying attention to them. Krishi means agriculture. Krishi means agriculture. So again, it is in sync with the government's agenda or motive of doubling farmers' income. Okay? The government wanted to double farmers' income. This is in line with it, but there is a specificity in it which we will discuss. So Dhan Dhyan Krishi Yojana means it is related to money, where the government will focus on money, means the income of the farmers. Here money is meaning the income of the farmers. Right, but there will be a special focus. This is not for all the farmers. It is there for specifically 100 districts which will be decided. Now these districts will be decided based on what? These districts will be decided based on low yields. The districts of India which has low yields will be focused under this scheme, and where the credit is below average parameters, the crop intensity is less, the production is less, the yield is less, the credit availability for these farmers are less. In this area, this particular scheme Dhan Dhyan Krishi Yojana will focus on, and it is estimated that it will benefit 1.7 crore farmers. It will benefit 1.7 crore farmers. Okay, so I think this is that scheme. Now let's move on to the next. The next thing is with respect to food technology. So as we speak, more and more details are coming, which I will keep on adding in this session. Yes. So National Institute for Food Technology, Food Management and Entrepreneurship is going to come, and that is going to come up in Bihar. That is going to come up in Bihar. Yes, so in Bihar. Now many people would relate it with the government being a coalition government and a very important leader of Bihar being here. So the Bihar has started getting a lot of things already even before the budget. But let's not do that. Maybe there is a rationale behind why it is coming in Bihar. Alright. So what will it include? It will include enhanced income. It will help in enhanced income. How will it help in enhanced income? See, what happens is when a farmer produces something, it directly is sold off and consumed directly without any value addition. I'll just give you an example. One mango is produced and that mango is directly consumed by us. The cost of that is, let's say, 50 rupees. But if you process that mango, convert it into squash, that same bottle may be sold at 200 rupees. So what can happen is, to whom the farmer is selling can also decide how much money the farmer may get out of it. Right, so that is why this can help in doubling the farmer's income, in basically improving the farmer's income. This is one thing. Second, if you look at it, skilling. So here the skill development will also take place. The skilling will also take place with respect to food management. Now why is food management important? When you talk about crops like horticultural crops, there are wastages of over 30%. So much so that recently, India's growth has actually slowed down. We are growing at 6.4%. That is why the government is now going to focus on growth. Now, a very easy comment was given by one of the experts who said that our agriculture growth is very slow, but we are wasting 30% of the produce. If we can stop the wastage by 50%, the production of agriculture can automatically increase by 15%. It is simple mathematics. That is why food management becomes very important. It will require not just storage, cold storage facilities, various other facilities to manage the food, because we are growing enough but we are wasting 30%. That is a very high number. And finally, of course, when National Institute of Food Technology will come up for management, this, that, and entrepreneurship, there is going to be an increase in the employment. Okay? So everything, in fact, everything that we talk about is indirectly going to increase employment. If you talk about any scheme, any particular thing, because what happens, let's say you are coming up with a medical institute. So for medical institute also a medical building needs to be constructed, which again leads to the job creation. But there will be certain schemes which will be specifically focused on job creation. Okay, we'll look at that. Especially the startup schemes are the schemes which will be specifically focused on job creation. Next is the MSME sector and the startups. So the problem that the MSME sector and the startup face is that of credit. So the government has decided that it will going to come up with credit guarantee cover, which will be further enhanced. So the amount, Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has not given the amount, but they have said whatever the existing credit guarantee cover is there presently in the MSME and the startup sector, that is going to be enhanced. Now what is this credit guarantee cover? So this is the concept which you should remember for your examination. What is credit guarantee cover? What credit guarantee cover implies, when you taking a non-collateral loan. So some people may not, in fact the people who are most in need will not have any collateral to keep aside for the credit. So they cannot show any collateral, so they don't get any credit. For such people in the MSME sector and the startup sector, the government is going to enhance the credit guarantee cover, means you can take more loans without any collateral present. I hope that's clear. So this is again a good thing. So MSME was also looking for some reforms. This is one of that which we can talk about. Now it remains to be seen how much, by what amount does it increase. Okay, by how much amount does the government increase is going to be very important. Then the next is National Manufacturing Mission. Now here, please focus on one thing which is very factual. In national manufacturing mission, the government is talking about small, medium and large industries. This is directly quote unquote from the finance minister's speech. Small, medium and large industries, micro is not included. A simple question for prelims can be made giving you micro, small and medium and excluding large, which will be wrong. So the focus is on small, medium and large industries to further what? To further the Make in India project which was introduced in 2016. While doing this, the government also intends to focus on clean tech manufacturing. We should do manufacturing, but it should be clean. That means less carbon emitting technology, of course. But the most important thing is that this National Manufacturing Mission will be for small, medium and large enterprises. Let's move on to the next one. Now, India traditionally had many varieties of toys. In fact, there are various GI tags for toys as well. So that's some potential that we have not played upon, it seems, right? Even in India, you will see that children are playing with toys that are manufactured in China. Outside, they are imported. So this is a very intelligent thing to do, that the government is trying to make India a global toy hub. Now, this is a distant dream, of course, but at least we are starting towards that. So the government will provide a scheme which will make toy cluster, which will lead to toy cluster development. What is toy cluster development? What does this word toy cluster mean? This is a method of development of a particular thing, be it urbanization, be it industrialization, or be it the toy development. So toy cluster means if this is the part of India, so there will be clusters of toys in, let's say, different states, and in different states there would be different clusters which will be developed, which can reap more benefits, right? So that is the toy cluster development idea. Also, skill development would be provided. People will be skilled, because a lot of toys, when it comes to Indian toy industry, are handmade. Right, handmade, or even if it is machine made, that will also need skills. So skill development of people will be taking place. That will also be creating jobs again. Wherever skills are required, wherever skills are imparted, of course it is going to lead to job creation and subsequent manufacturing. So it is not just going to be handmade toys, but machine made toys. And it does make sense. Why? Because when you talk about machine, you can have more quantity, and not just addressing the local demand, you can then start exporting your toys to around the world. And that is what the final point of the finance minister's speech talks about: facilitation for making toys a made in India brand. So we are focusing on made in India brand. So we will be focusing on the exports of these toys. I hope this is clear. So this is a very interesting thing in which we can see that we are now trying to achieve our potential in certain things which are not done so far. Yes, this is a very interesting thing. So about the gig economy. So what is gig economy? In gig economy, what happens? You have freelancers doing freelance job, part-time job, project-based jobs. They have a job today, they don't have a job tomorrow, and then again day after tomorrow they have a job. So it is very temporary kind of, it is flexible, but it is very temporary in nature, and you don't have sort of job security over there. Of course, some freelancers cost a lot, they are doing well, that's a different thing. They keep on getting so much of job that they have to reject. But there are huge amount of people who are not having job for majority of the year and get very little jobs. So for them also, the government is now trying to make it systematic. There are different portals like Internshala, etc., where you have your profile. So the government itself is wanting to create its own data, and what the government will provide is this. First thing is the ID cards. There will be ID cards for all such gig economy workers, so that they are identified. Apart from that, these people would be registered on the e-Shram portal. E-Shram, Shram means to work. So e-work portal where you can find jobs. It's a portal which connects the people who want someone to do the job and people who are willing to do the job. So it is like an intermediary connecting the job seekers to the job providers. So they will all be registered on eShram portal. At the same time, more important, also a very important thing here is that they will be provided health care facility under PM Jan Arogya Yojana. So this is a very good thing to do. Because in fact, a lot of people in small companies, even in permanent job, do not have healthcare facilities, right? And here we are talking about freelancers, temporary employees. So this is actually a very good step and is going to help a lot of people in it. Now it is going to help, it is said that around 1 crore gig workers will be helped with the help of this step of the government. And remember, this budget speech is now just having a generic idea, giving you what it is going to do. To implement that, new schemes will keep on coming with their different rules, so you will have to keep a check on that. Okay? The criterias will come over here. You know, they may have certain criterias over here because it is restricted to 1 crore, right? So let's see what the criterias and guidelines are about. Now, another important thing is for the startups, a new fund will be created in addition to the already existing fund by the government to the tune of 10,000 crore rupees. Okay? So 10,000 crore rupees, what this fund is going to do? This is important. So fresh contribution of another 10,000 crore in addition to existing 10,000 crore. So existing previously 10,000 crore was there, now another 10,000 crore was added. This will be a fund for the startups. So whenever a fund is created for any particular thing, it is not only to directly give loans, it is for various reasons. It is to start, let's say, incubators, which helps the startups to do well, which trains them, which skills them, at the same time to at times provide viable gap funding, at times to provide interest subvention scheme. What is interest subvention scheme? You are taking a loan at 6%. The government gives interest of 2% on your behalf so that your loan cost is just 4%. So all these schemes, all these provisions are made with the help of the funds which are created. Because, and this is a better way of utilization, because if you are directly giving the money, what about the skills, where they will get the skills, etc. So here there is a holistic development which the government is trying to do with the help of this fund. Now apart from this, I think another important thing for your exam perspective is a new scheme will be launched. As I said, schemes are not yet named. This is just an idea. So the idea looks very good. We need to wait for the specific schemes. So a new scheme will be launched. What is this scheme all about? It is going to be launched for 5 lakh women and first time entrepreneurs. So who will be first time entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurs who have never done any business, who were never the director of any company or LLP or private limited, etc. Those kind of people and women entrepreneurs will be helped, the totaling about 5 lakh. It's a less number because it is specifically for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Okay, so if it was maybe generically, it would have been 10-15 lakhs, but it is targeting specifically, you can say, the poorest of the poor or the most backward section of the society, 5 lakh women and first time entrepreneurs from the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. So the government is actually focusing on specific things rather than coming up with generic solutions. Let's see what further things are there. Yes. Then we have public-private partnership. Now my question to you is this a good thing for the taxpayer or a bad thing? That you need to think about. See, what is the thing? The finance minister has said that each ministry will be advised to come up with a 3-year plan of the different public-private partnership projects that it can take up. So ministries are mandated. Which ministries? Ministries which are related to infrastructure development. What will be these ministries? For example, MOT, road transportation, etc. For example, rural development also has the infrastructure arm to it. So all these ministries which have infrastructure related works have to come up with a 3-year plan of public-private partnership projects which they can undertake. At the same time, the finance minister has also urged the states to come up with their own plans as well. It is not mandatory for the states to do that, but the finance minister is urging the states to also come up with their own 3-year plan for public-private partnership. Now, why I am saying whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, see, it's a mix of both things. Why it's good? Because, see, India needs a huge amount of infrastructure development, there is no doubt about it. Now, the government alone cannot suffice because the requirement of money is huge. That is why they take into account the private player. So in public-private partnership, what happens is majorly the money is of the private player, and the government of course provides the land, etc., and maybe some part of the money, let's say 10%, but 90% money approximately is of the private player. So it's a good thing that it's a amalgamation of the strengths of the different government sector as well as private sector. But so it helps in infrastructure development, which will create job, which will fasten the economy. But what's the flip side of this? The flip side of this is we are already paying taxes to the government, and from these taxes we were supposed to reap some benefits with respect to development of roads, this, that, everything. That money should be utilized to create infrastructure, but now infrastructure is being created with PPP models. So when roads are created with PPP models, what happens is toll taxes start coming. So you again have to pay tax for the development of the road, but you had already paid taxes. So that is one aspect of it. But in other cases, if it is a metro rail project, PPP partnership, there it is no issue, because there anyhow the tickets will be there and advertisements will be there where the private sector can get their money from. This issue happens specifically in the road projects wherein you have highways and expressways, as there is no problem. And in fact, it is a very good thing because India needs $10 trillion plus in the coming few years for the infrastructure development. Okay. So we have this which is planned. So there is a boost for PPP model of investment or infrastructure development becomes important for your examination. Okay. Then artificial intelligence. So it's nothing but what the finance minister is talking about here is use of artificial intelligence in education. So they will be creating Center for Excellence of Artificial Intelligence for Education. So how you can educate people better with the help of artificial intelligence, and the outlay for this is very small because this is very specific. Probably it is not a pilot project, but it is being done at a very small scale. And maybe when it does well, then the outlay will increase. 500 crore outlay is actually quite less, but this is the first time that we are doing it, so that is why it is probably fine. So what is going to happen? The education system. The education system, in fact, there was an essay in UPSC which talked about transforming India's education system, because there are a lot of issues in the education system. They say it is rote learning based, it is theoretical, there is no practical thing. In a single classroom, we are assuming that a 10-year-old child will have the same level of intelligence, understanding, grasping, which is actually quite wrong. So artificial intelligence, use of artificial intelligence in such situations, machine learning can actually help, wherein you will realize that people at different age level can be at the same level of understanding and grasping levels. So we are moving towards that Montessori kind of education. Let's see what we do with the help of this artificial intelligence. Then we have boost for school education. So announce for internet connectivity for all government schools and colleges. Now this is actually a good thing that the finance minister has announced, that we will ensure that there is internet connectivity for all government schools, colleges, and in fact also hospitals as well. So let's see what the timeline for this will be, because the timeline for this I believe is going to be very long. Why? Because when we are talking about all government schools and colleges, you are also talking about schools and colleges and hospitals in the remotest of villages of India, wherein even electricity is a problem, so internet can also be an issue. But one thing that the government is trying to utilize here is the TV cables, etc., which are already laid, that can help you to transport the internet also to those places. So let's see how this plays out, but at least 5 to 10 years would be required even if they are targeting. Okay. Then we have increase in the number of college seats. So the government is saying that it will increase around 10,000 medical seats in the coming year, plus a total of I think 75,000 seats to be added in the next 5 years. Yes, 75 seats to be added in the next 5 years, and in the immediate next year total 10,000 seats will be added. Now this is all well and good. In fact, during her speech, I think the finance minister also mentioned that the enrollment in IITs have increased by 100%. Now there was a huge clap by all the government ministers and member of parliaments. But we need to also understand one more thing. This increase in seat should be accompanied by the quality level of education. So still we have few IITs which are actually top notch. The rest of the IITs are way below the NITs and other colleges as well. So focus increasing the seats is well and good, but increasing the seats should be accompanied by the same level of quality in education. So if you are you're adding 10 more IITs, then those 10 more IITs should have equivalent level or quality of education which the previously or earlier IITs had. So if you're writing your answers, don't write it in a critical manner, but write it while increasing the seat, we need to also ensure that the level of quality of education is not harmed or is also maintained. So if that can be done, then this is a good number, or else there is an issue. Okay? And then I think finally this is the last slide probably, then we will directly take up the updates from her speech, which is still ongoing. Okay, so a few days back, in fact the last session of parliament, when it was on, one of the opposition members, I don't remember his name, has criticized the Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagarik Udan scheme a lot, terribly in fact, and maybe it is a result of this, we don't know, but the government has planned to connect 120 more destinations under the Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagarik scheme. What is Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagarik scheme? Any two destinations which can be connected within 1 hour of distance, the price of the ticket will not exceed 2,500 rupees. That was the scheme. Now because of that, what has happened? There are some distances which are actually very short, and if you actually sit on the flight, you will realize you reached in 55 minutes of actual flight time. But if you try to book the tickets, what do you see? 1 hour 10 minutes, 1 hour 15 minutes. Why? So that people are sidestepping the Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagari scheme which are there. But anyhow, the government has tackled that, because the government is specifically going to mention that from a particular destination X to particular destination Y, it is under the Udan scheme. Now if you take 50 minutes, 1 hour, generally those will be within 1 hour. But even now the flights cannot write more time and say we are not under the scheme. If it is those destination, it will come under the Udan scheme. I hope that is absolutely clear. Okay, so we are done with the presentation which was made till 12 p.m. Now let's go on and look at the details which are again coming as we speak. So it seems that there has been some relief for the middle class. So probably for me also there is a relief. So new tax slab has already come in. Okay. So you can write down this new tax slab from rupees 0 of course to 4 lakhs. There will be no taxes. Okay. So anyone earning less than 4 lakhs, guys, you don't have to pay any taxes. From 4 to 8 lakhs, there is just 5% of tax. So it's actually a very good improvement which we can see over here. So 0 to 4 lakh rupees, no taxes. 4 to 8 lakh rupees, 5%. 8 to 12 lakh, just 10% of tax. And then you have from 8 to 12 lakh, just 10% of tax. I think this newspaper has missed one of the things, but write down 8 to 12 lakhs, 10%. Then 16 to 20, it is 20%. So I think 12 to 16 should be 15, but they have not written it yet. Let's wait for the updates. Okay, so 8 to 12 lakhs, 10%. 16 to 20 lakhs, 20%. 20 to 24 lakhs, 25%. And above 24 lakhs, you will be required to pay 30%. So this is actually a commendable thing. We should all appreciate the finance minister to do that, for doing that, right? And one more thing we can add on to this is, up 8 to 12 is 10%, but the amount of tax deductible which you are allowed is such that if your earning is 12 lakhs and you you invest all the amount that is eligible for tax deduction, you will be required to pay no taxes. So this is again a good thing. So the finance minister has said that no income tax payable up to 12 lakh rupees. How? Because what I think you will be allowed around 1.5 or 2 lakh of tax deductions. So if you're doing those investment, for example 2 lakh of fixed deposit for 5 years, which is eligible for tax deduction, you will not have to pay any taxes. So this is actually a relief. The newspaper also says that it is a relief for the middle class, that there will be no tax payable up to the income of 12 lakhs. Okay. Let's look at any other thing which comes around. So the government has also made 36 life-saving drugs absolutely free from custom duty, so they will become cheap. Anything big? Nothing big. The biggest thing was the tax proposal. Yeah, this is again a good thing. So again, in a couple of days before, we talked about a lecture that the government should focus on research and development. So the government has specifically come up for providing 20,000 crore just to promote innovation in the private sector. So 20,000 crore is being allocated for innovation in the private sector. This is nothing but it is related to research and development. It has been said that it is to promote global capability of India, to promote global capability and competitiveness of India. So this is good. Another thing, that as we were expecting that the fiscal deficit will go beyond 4.5%. So yes, the fiscal deficit is estimated for the coming year, coming fiscal, to be about 4.8%. So that is on the higher side. As per FRBM, we have to stick to 3.5, but during COVID, everything was haywire and our fiscal deficit kept on increasing, and now the economy has slowed down. Why we are going for such a high fiscal deficit? Because economy which was growing at 8.2%, India is still the fastest growing economy, which the finance minister has said, in the Asian economies, but it has come down to 6.4%. So we need to further boost it up. That is why we have to maintain a higher fiscal deficit, because we have to keep on spending more. So fiscal deficit will be 4.8%. Then another thing is with respect to the FDI. So when it comes to FDI, that is foreign direct investment, you see that since this government has come up, in fact since 1991 itself, there has been more and more liberalization only with respect to FDI. It has hardly ever happened that the FDI in some sector has reduced. It has always increased only. So here in the insurance sector, the government has raised the FDI limit from 74% to 100%. Now this is a good thing to do, because in insurance percentage, penetration, intensity of insurance is very less in India. So this is a good step that we are talking about. Now the income tax slab that we talked about, the new slab which has come to enforce that, the bill will be introduced in the parliament in the next week, because of course money bill has to be passed to give effect to the new tax slabs which have come. Another thing you can see here is there was always an argument that should we go for nuclear energy or not. So India is in fact playing big with respect to nuclear energy and coming up with nuclear energy mission with an outlay of 20,000 crore rupees. So of course we are now looking to generate electricity power from nuclear power plants. Nuclear energy mission which will be launched with an outlay of 20,000 crore rupees. What is an outlay? Outlay means to begin with it is 20,000 crore. Going forward this amount will further increase. This is the initial corpus that we are talking about. Another thing which is here, which is quite interesting and should have been done quite a long time back. India Post. You know, India Post is a brilliant organization which delivers your post, your letters anywhere in the remotest village of India, right? So what the government is trying to do is, government is trying to convert this India Post into a large logistic body. So probably in the future it will be a lot of other things which India Post will be doing. It wants to convert it into a large logistic body with 1.5 lakh rural post offices which are present in India. So this is good. This is a step towards synergy. Synergy means you are utilizing the already existing network to do many more things. So this is a great initiative by the government and an intelligent initiative by the government. So yes, as I said, one slab was missing, so 12 to 16 lakh, it is 15%. I'll repeat, 0 to 4 lakh nil, 4 to 8 lakh 5%, 8 to 12 lakh 10%, 12 to 16 lakh 15%, 16 to 20 lakh 20%, 20 to 24 lakh 25%, and above 24 lakh is when you have to give 30% of the taxes. And in another interesting news, so the government, based on the earlier tax slab, if you would have paid the taxes, the government is going to return those taxes. So the government is ready to forego, no, not forego basically it's saying that they are ready to forego 1 lakh crore of direct taxes. Okay, so I think because of the changes that are happening, the government will lose, it is saying that it will lose 1 lakh crore on the direct taxes. Is that understood? So since we have changed the tax slabs, the government, keeping the efficiency of payment of taxes same, the government estimates that it is going to lose 1 lakh crore of taxes as direct taxes. But there can be another thing, the loss can be lesser. Why? Because now it may attract more people to pay taxes and it may increase the efficiency of paying taxes. So as law abiding citizens, when government gives us something, we should return something back. So I would urge every one of us to pay these taxes on time so that this 1 lakh crore of loss which the government is estimated boils down to zero or maybe goes into the surplus. So I think as we speak, this is the last update that has come so far to us. Okay, and this has been the most important thing about the tax slab. So I think we can conclude this budget session and all go happily to our work back again. All right, guys. So thank you so much. As and when the government comes up with bills, with schemes and all, we'll take up each and everything also in detail. Thank you.